What's the most underrated financial career? What's the career that is not looked upon much but has great compensation and work-life balance? And is exciting to work? Project finance. Good compromise between WLB and compensation. Can be considered interesting depending on the individual and has decent exit progression opportunities. I never hear anyone talking about central banking. Granted, it can be a little boring interned in supervision for a year, but its WLB was unmatched. I got in at like 9 and left at 5. Fond memories of those times. Family offices lol. FOF and endowments. In the UK, working in insurance in the Lloyd's market as either an underwriter or broker. Well remunerated with a good work-life balance, and you don't need two maths degrees to do it. Credit ratings: Moody's, SP, Fitch. Any type of allocator role, RIA, family office, endowment, etc. get to basically build a multi-asset class portfolio and have exposure to top managers in each space. Work mostly focuses on best-in-class manager selection as well as portfolio positioning based on macro views. As a CFA charter holder, I like the generalist nature as opposed to working it as a true analyst that is hyper-focused on one specific set of companies. One caveat is that I'd recommend a shop with a solid asset base, $5 billion, to ensure you're actually getting access to fund managers and other top minds. Compliance. Compensation is a bit on the low side, but I rarely work more than 8 hours a day, got great benefits: 25 PTO, wellness days, mandatory leave. Currently writing macros to generate my reports and emails. And entire department WFH 4 days a week. It isn't bad for starting, and you can pivot to risk later on. I make nearly $100K with 3.5 years a commercial underwriter in Texas. Small bank, come in around 8:30, go home for lunch, live 5 minutes away and leave around 4 every day. We don't do past 5 emails, so when I'm home, I'm home. It's great. Actuarial. Middle office or back office in an investment bank. Private credit Panda. Risk management. I would say an economist. Particularly one working at an AMC. It's an interesting job but not stressful. And if you are at a high position at a big place, you are essentially a celebrity doing interviews with Bloomberg and CNN. Investment operations. I've only been in it for 4 years and make $136,000, excludes insurance, 401k match, and stocks. It is 100 remote. I have a useless sociology bachelor's degree. In-house capital markets for a PE fund or infra fund or corporate in infra like renewables asset owner. It's on the other side of the table from banks with better balance and more deals and strategy than sales. Perhaps not as exciting and high comp as the investment team, but well paced and interesting. Still solid comp like $500,000 plus in mid-career in big shops. Tax reporting. We're busy from December to March and relatively dead the remainder of the year. It pays a relatively high salary and allows me to work on random projects in other areas of the organization throughout the year. I've worked in this role for 2 large institutions and they pretty much have an identical work dynamic. Energy. It's kinda weird, but I know people that is in the energy business in oil majors like BP as traders or risk analysts, and they make some good money, and it looks that the firm take enough care of his employees. Another one is the commodity majors like Glencore or Trafigura. I've read that you can make some filthy amount of money but the work-life balance is crap. Some terror stories of people inside the firms. So I'd. Friend of mine is a SBA lender. Works 30 hours a week. Comp varies. $500,000 $1. Personal finance. Internal external wholesaler. PWM or private banking in a top group, or commercial corporate banking RM. Both have lighter hours and will put you in the top 5 of earners at the top of your career. Risk. The most overrated is IB. Coming out of college, I have to say credit. It's not the big sexy job the finance brothers jump into, but it's very broad and has been great for me. The work-life balance and job security is great in this field too. The compensation in big markets like NYC and Dallas is definitely not IB or PE, but it's solid considering you get to live most of your life outside of work. Cashier at supermarket. Tax attorney. Actuary. Family office. Private equity secondaries pay is below traditional PE, but still very well paying, and the haircut to comp is, in my opinion, more than made up for in WLB. Night and weekend work is very rare at most shops versus traditional PE being IB 2.0 in a lot of cases. I work on the portfolio management side of SIB, specifically on hedge fund clients. The job is to perform due diligence on funds that are on our prime brokerage trading platform to ensure they can meet their trade obligations. I rarely work longer than 40 hours and total comp is around $330,000. It's not IB money, but in my view, absurdly overpaid for the number of hours worked and lack of stress. Treasury. Equity research in a sector you like. I come from an advanced science degree background and the work I do is nothing short of fascinating. I'll never get bored of biotech. CPA. BBIB. IB. Corporate insurance. Doesn't CRE asset management have bulge bracket earnings with CRE work life? Trust officers. Six-figure incomes easy to get to with few years experience. Mix of in-person and remote positions available. You could work for a small firm or a large bank. You can work with personal wealth or institutional clients. And discretion is hard to outsource overseas or to AI, providing amazing job security. JD helpful but not required. FX trader. Deaf remote accountants. These guys use automative tools and make sure the math is correct while traveling all over the world to cheap countries. 60K is beyond livable in third world Asian countries, for example. Trade finance. Anyone? It will be soon replaced by AI tow. Energy, especially on the fossil fuel side. You have the potential for great compensation, and the hours are very low. When I did corp dev at a natural gas utility, I had several 40-hour work weeks, but I also had 70-hour weeks during live deals. Outside of corp dev, I can imagine how great their hours were. They could probably sneak out at 3 to go play golf. That said, the PTO was terrible 2 weeks. I'm a reinsurance underwriter. 30 years, 8 years in the industry, 160K base and 2550 annual bonus. Pretty nice WLB, though there is frequent marketing travel. Public company treasury. Capital markets. Real estate development. Retired CEO of BBIB. Financial planner and wealth manager. Well paid. Extremely fulfilling. Insurance underwriting. Honestly, on the compliance side. Great WLB, get in between 7:30 to 8 and leave at 3:34 and pretty competitive pay. As a control function, the business waits on you in my experience. I see it as a long-term career. It can be kind of dry, but I find the work really fascinating, especially if you come from a reg legal background, plus there's insane demand. Regulatory reporting. Good WL balance. Works closely with reg change teams because the government is always trying to change terms and conditions. It's a lawyer's dream because there's a lot of redlining markups and meetings with industry groups like SIFMA and ISDA. There's no work-life balance, but being a wholesaler pays really well. 150K, $2 million, and is a lot of fun. Wholesaler. Bank auditing. Marketing.